It's true. They're lying to you. These are 5 things you do not need to homeschool. Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Laura Wilkie with Down Home with Lemon Pie, and I am so excited to share with you guys 5 things we've been homeschooling the whole time from the very beginning. Some of these we've had along the way, some of them we've never had, but these are 5 things that you absolutely do not need to homeschool. And if I had to be completely honest with you guys, they are 5 things that I have not used in years. So maybe we used them in the past, but we don't have them now. And I want to share that with you guys because there is a misconception about homeschooling. I am a Christian homeschool mama. I have 7 little ones. Like I said, we have been homeschooling from the very beginning. My oldest is going into 7th grade right now, and I go all the way down to 1 year old. And she is, she's never been in public school. She has been homeschooled since the very beginning. I don't even know exactly when that was, because even when she was tiny, we were doing home education things, home learning things. So if you want to be real specific, I would say from preschool on, but I mean the whole time. So like I said, 5 things, guys, they are lying to you when you get all excited about homeschooling. You want to be a homeschool mom. You're so excited. You might get online, you start doing some research, and you start following some moms on YouTube or Pinterest or whatever, their little blogs. And these are the things they all have. They all have these things. And so you start modeling your life after them with these things or some of these things. And then you start realizing they're things that you spent a ton of money on and you did not need because you're not even using them. So especially one in particular, so that everybody does. So I'm going to tell you guys that before I get started, I do want to encourage you to subscribe and like the videos, share them if you find them helpful in the community groups or wherever. Most of those groups I am not allowed to share because I am the creator. So they have this whole self-promotion law. So if you find them helpful and think they're going to be helpful in other groups, please feel free to share them. So with that all being said, let's get started. The first one that I see, kind of a misconception, a lot of people think this, and I can see why, but it's not true, is that you have to have a lot of money in order to homeschool, to offset that loss of income that you would have had you had a job or something like that. That is absolutely not true. And I'm going to tell you guys, you may not realize this, or you may not think it's possible, but it's totally possible. Just a quick Google search, you'll find out. But I personally know, and I know there are others in the world, I personally know mamas who work full-time and homeschool their kids. I know families who dad works and mom homeschools, and then they switch, like mom might work a nursing night shift and then they swap, or vice versa. I've seen where they kind of do like a dual homeschooling where one homeschools and the other. I've seen homeschooling just on the weekends, where the parents both work and the parents homeschool their kids on the weekends and the kids do other things during the week. I've seen also single moms. You hear that a lot. Single moms can't be a homeschool mom because they have to go to work. That is not true. I know moms who are single moms and they homeschool as well. They either have a job where they can work from home, their kiddos are set up on a homeschool program like on their computer or something, and they are able to do all of that online or some other way like that where the parents aren't having to be directly involved. I have seen that as well, but just because you're a single mom does not mean you cannot be a homeschool mom. Just because you want to be a homeschool mom does not mean that you have to have a ton of money to offset that income. Yes, you absolutely can, but most homeschool families that I know, they just make adjustments. I have a whole video for that. I will link it below, where I have shared ways that we have found to save money so that we can homeschool. We put it as a priority in our home, and it's important to us that I am home with the kids teaching them and guiding them and raising them and being there for them at all times. Because that is important, there are other things we do without. We do without vacations and other fancy luxuries that a lot of other working families do on a regular basis, because this is where our priority is, and that's totally fine. So you just have to readjust your spending and things. Okay, so that is number one. The number one, I would say. Number two is a teaching degree. No, you do not have to have a teaching degree to homeschool your own children. Yes, you are the most qualified person to teach your children. You may not feel like you are because, maybe you feel like a failure, or maybe you feel like your own education wasn't that great. Homeschooling is such a journey. As you go down the homeschool journey with your children, you will see how much education you get in your own life. It's absolutely amazing. I have learned more about American history or history in general because I've been a homeschool mama. But you know what? Homeschooling is not necessarily, it doesn't have to be this person who's an expert on everything and that's how they're able to teach. Curriculums, books, lesson plans, all of that can be done for you if you need it to be, or you can do it yourself. It's so much easier than you think. Homeschooling is a relationship. It is a journey. It is just raising your kids and learning along the way, which you were doing anyways. Think about all the things that you have learned being a parent that you didn't know previously. It might be stuff related to parenting, or it might be skills that you've picked up along the way. Maybe you're a better cook now. You didn't have to be a great chef in order to have kids. You've learned along the way. So no, you do not have to have a teaching degree to be a homeschool mom. In fact, I don't even think it's required in any of the 50 states. I have lived in 2 of those states, so I cannot speak for all of them, but I am pretty sure it is not required in any state. Okay, this is the one everybody thinks. Everybody thinks in order to be a homeschool mom, you have to have a special homeschool room. I fell for that one as well. We have had homeschool rooms at several different houses. We have designed them this way or that way. They have looked very basic. They've been very extravagant. It is a nice luxury, but more often than not, every time somebody has a fancy homeschool room, they don't use it for anything but storage. More often than not. Yes, there are going to be the exceptions. Yes, there are those amazing mamas who are very good at keeping their homeschool things in the homeschool space. It's not us. So more often than not, we are homeschooling at the kitchen table. And even when we had a homeschool space, that is still where I prefer us to be. I can do cooking at the same time that I'm helping them with their lessons. I can be prepping lunch or whatever. I can be sweeping the floor, doing household things. I can be running and getting laundry moved, whatever. And I'm still right there. I'm still present. We're not in another space of the house, another room, another whatever. At one point, we actually had like another building, and that was our homeschool room. It was like a little cabin that was on our property. It was already there, and we didn't know what to do with it, so we used it as a homeschool little schoolhouse. Super fun, but it wasn't feasible, and it didn't really work out the way I thought. It ended up being too much of us back and forth, because we were wanting to do school there, but then we'd have to go back for snacks and come back. And I tried even bringing the snacks to the cabin, but then I had to unload groceries. It just was too much. So more often than not, we just brought and did school at the house where everything else is going on anyways. And honestly, that's probably better. We are not trying to create a school at our house. Okay, I don't know, maybe you are, but we were not wanting that. We did not want to have the school model that you see, like the public school model, the way it looks with kids at a desk and posters all over the walls and all of that. That was school, okay? We wanted a home education, more of a home learning, like we're learning, but we're at home, not crowded up with to be our school. That was not what I wanted. I thought that's what I wanted. That's why we did it, and we did it twice. We did it in another house too. And but when I got around and started realizing it, realized that it felt like school, and I became the kids' teacher more than their mom, and it just was too much. So no, you do not have to have a special homeschool room to be a homeschool mom. Okay, the next one, number 4, is you do not need a membership co-op, a co-op membership that you're a part of in order to be a homeschool mom. You can just as easily be a good homeschool mom without being a member of any co-op ever. I have never been a member of a co-op, like a true co-op where you take classes and you go once a week, and the kids have classes they've signed up for each. We have never been a member of that, and we are still homeschool families. So you do not have to do that. Yes, my kids are still plenty socialized. There's a whole video on socialization and homeschool linked below. Yes, my kids have plenty of activities. No, they are not bored. No, they are not lacking in their education. We're still able to learn all the things. We do not have to be members of a co-op. We do perfectly fine on our own. And again, I did not want our homeschool experience to be school, right? So that's a personal preference. It may not be your preference, but it was ours. I wanted it to be more home, more family. And yes, there are days when it gets like that and it gets crazy or whatever. And it is just like, it feels like school. And those are the days that everybody's melting down. I'm stressed. The kids are crying, the days when it's more relaxed, when it's more like just a normal day and home and family life. Those are the days that are blessed. Okay. Number 5, the 5th thing that you do not need in order to be a homeschool mom is fancy and overpriced curriculum. This is a huge one. We have, I've seen lots of families do this. They'll buy a big, fancy, expensive curriculum, and some of those curriculums are ridiculously expensive. I mean, upwards of $1,000 per kid per grade. And they'll buy all the parts and pieces of it, and then maybe 2 months in realize it's not working for them and sell it and try to find something else and start scrambling. So you do not need a fancy overpriced curriculum. You can do minimalist homeschooling. I'll do a video on more of what that would entail, but you don't need more than a few things. You really don't. Maybe some spirals, some basic supplies, a bunch of books, and you're pretty much set. A lot of curriculum is made to help the people who don't have any idea where to start or what to do, and that is great. However, I would use those kinds of things as a guideline for what it could be, what you might want to use, but not necessarily see it. And this is what always happens, is you start seeing it as like the law, and you have to use every single piece that they have given you. And with some of them will have like the basic and the elite package or whatever. Just go with the basic, and if you need to add something or you have extra time later, then add something, but you don't need all of that. We don't even buy a curriculum, we do it ourselves. We just make our own, and I showed a video on how to do that, guys. It is also linked below if you want to check that out, but it doesn't have to be harder than we make it, and we always make it harder than it is. So you don't need to do that. You do not need to buy thousands of dollars or even hundreds of dollars worth of curriculum. You don't. You're probably not going to use it. I would just buy for the next few months, maybe the next semester, and then see. I have done where I've bought for the whole year. In fact, I even did that last year, and we're still working our way through some of those things, but I did not buy a big curriculum. It was just books that I bought that we never got to, and we are still going to get to them. We just haven't gotten to them yet. But yeah, you do not need a ton of stuff. You just don't. You just don't. So 5 things you do not need to be a homeschool mama. There you go, guys. You do not need a lot of money. You do not need a teaching degree. You do not need a special homeschool room. You do not need a membership to a co-op. and you do not need a fancy overpriced curriculum. All right, guys, if you're brand new to homeschooling, definitely subscribe. This is Homeschool Fellowship Friday, when I share with you guys all things homeschool related, and I have a whole playlist with all the information that I've already shared with you guys. If you want to go back and find that, it's also linked below. And I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.